Hello and welcome to the Quarter 4 content training for Grade 5 Science from the STEM Science and Wellness Department. My name is Fabian Sanchez. I will be your guide through this presentation today. I am the Elementary Science Curriculum Coordinator. I'm available Mondays from 4 to 5 p.m. through Zoom for our virtual office hours. Before we begin, please make sure that you download the participant guide, which will contain all of the links that are going to be presented throughout the presentation. Take a moment to do that now. This presentation will also be recorded for future access through the YouTube channel for the PDL department. The link is located on your screen. Our journey today is going to lead us into various aspects of Grade 5 Science. We're going to be looking at our tier resources. We're also going to be looking at some data, how the data can also guide our future instruction. We're going to be looking at how the standards are assessed in our 2023 STAR administration. Then we're going to take a look at some of the SCR examples that have been provided to us and how those have been scored. We're going to take an overview of Quarter 4 and Quarter 4 lab investigations. I'm going to provide some information regarding reproductive and sexual health units. We're going to talk a little bit about Proclamation 2024, the importance of LOs and SCs, and we're going to end with some lab safety PD information. So let's begin by taking a look at our learning objective and success criteria for today. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds for you to take a look at those two components. With our first section of the presentation, we're going to identify tier curriculum resources available in science. That is our success criteria for this section. Throughout the school year, we have provided you with tier curriculum resources for Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. We have linked these curriculum resources in the participant guide provided earlier. Take a look at some of the documents that we have provided. For Tier 1 instruction, you will see the framework listed on your screen. For Tier 2 and Tier 3 resources, we can click on the document. It will populate this first page here. You would have to select Science, which will take us down to this frame. And we can see the grade bands on the left side, as well as the product that is provided and the product description and what we are using this resource for. As we take a closer look at our science tier curriculum resources, we can see that the Tier 1 resource that we have available to us is HMH Texas Science Fusion through our Think Central app in Clever. For Tier 2 and Tier 3, you will find the HMH Texas Science Fusion digital readers through the Think Central app in Clever. You'll also find Discovery Education Studio, and as of recently, you will find the iReady application that you are able to use for Tier 2, Tier 3 instruction. As we move through our presentation, we will go into success criteria number 2, which is you're going to be able to identify low-performing Grade 5 SCs from the data provided. The first set of data points that we're going to look at is going to be our winter assessment. We have provided you with a deep analysis of the data compared to our 2023 STAR data. A comparison can be found in your participant guide. When we look at the data on the screen, we see that there is a standard analysis. We have the English data and we have the Spanish data as well. Currently, whenever you log into Dan, you will see that the data points are set to the MEET level, which is at 64% passing. When we look at the data within the MEET range or the MEET view, we see that our standards did not perform very well. All of them are in the red. However, when we look at our data through the approaches level, which is at 46%, we see that some of the standards performed okay or within the guideline, and we find that some of those standards are still below the 46th percentile. Whenever you are looking at your data for your campus, make sure that you use both settings in order for you to gauge a little bit better of how you want to proceed with your reteach and your spiraling in of these standards. The next set of data that we're going to look at is the preliminary snapshot of the simulation assessment. This assessment has not been closed yet. The students can still take this assessment. Therefore, this is very preliminary data. We will have an in-depth, complete analysis once the testing window has closed. And again, as we look at this particular data set here, you'll find that the standard analysis shows at the MEET level of 64% passing. So if we set the range at 64% passing, we see that only one of our standards, which is 5.10b, is the only standard that performed at the MEET level. However, whenever we look at the same data within the approaches range at 46%, we can see that some of those standards are in the green, therefore giving us a different perspective of how we can utilize this information. If we were to use this information as is with the approaches level, we can see that we can focus on a much more targeted approach to some of these standards. My recommendation for you all is to focus on the readiness standards. Linked in your participant guide, I have provided you with the frequency distribution chart from Lead Forward. On your screen, you will see the star frequency distribution chart from Lead Forward. You can see the readiness standards, supporting standard, and process standards as they have been assessed throughout the year since 2017. One notable mention that we can do here is the readiness standard for 2023 were assessed 18 times on that 2023 administration. The supporting standards were 14 questions. Therefore, we can see that our biggest amount of points that can be obtained from the STAR came from the readiness standard in the 2023 administration. That's why earlier I suggested for you to focus on your reteach and spiraling piece within the readiness standards first, and then move on to the supporting standards, noting obviously the ones that are mostly tested throughout the years with STAR. Another piece of information that I have linked on your participant guide is the TEAC snapshot also from Lead Forward. If you are new to teaching science and do not know what the readiness or the supporting standards are, this document here lays out very clearly which are the readiness standards and which are the supporting standards, as well as these standards are listed with the description. Returning back to our data from the simulation assessment, I want to make a point that this data can definitely guide your instruction for the next quarter, making sure that we take advantage of our time and that we reteach and spiral in within our Q4 content. Just as a reminder, if your students have not taken the Grade 5 simulation assessment, the testing window will close March 8th. Make sure that you have scored the SCR question that is located within the assessment. You can do that in Dan. And if you need any assistance on how to do the scoring or to look at your data, please visit the assessment website located at the bottom of your screen. Moving on through our presentation, our next success criteria will be that you will be able to identify instructional strategies to address misconceptions on low-performing grade 5 SEs from the 2023 Science STAR. As in previous QCTs, we have included a STAR release test that you can take a look at that contains data from the state on how students performed on each question, giving you a little bit of insight as how the district compares to the state. We have also included a deep dive into a data analysis that does the same comparison um, between the state data and the district data. It provides you with information on when and how the questions have been taught throughout the units throughout the school year. And also it provides you with our 5 lowest SEs for the district, which are listed also on your screen, both in English and in Spanish. These SEs were included in at least one test question in the Grade 5 Science STAR exam for 2023. So let's take a look at a STAR release question, which is our short constructed response from the 2023 STAR Science. Take a moment to read the question, analyze the information provided, and then think about what makes this question challenging for students. I'm going to pause here and allow you some time to look through the information. If we look at the data, we can see the percent of students who answered correctly for the districts and obtained full credit is 21%. Those that obtained partial credit are 18%, and students who obtained no credit are 61%. In this question, you can see that there is a two-part setup that provides information for students. One of the misconceptions that was listed was that students probably answered one but not two of those questions. Also, the question can also use variables. If students have not been exposed to setting up a scientific investigation or doing hands-on activities with investigations, more than likely students are going to struggle through this type of question here. For this particular question, we have item-specific rubrics that TEA uses to score these questions. For this particular question, it says that in order for a student to receive 2 points, the student needs to identify at least one more piece of equipment, such as a ruler, measuring tape, or meter stick, and include at least one idea for how the hypothesis can be tested, such as varying the height of the book stack, measuring the distance of the toy truck traveled, or performing repeated trials. Students will receive 1 point if the student answers half of the question correctly, and students will receive 0 points if the response is incorrect or irrelevant. Now let's take a look at some of students' responses and how TEA scored them. This is student response A. The student said, "What we need to test the hypothesis is one more book. I believe that adding one more book can make the marbles slide down faster and the toy truck going to a farther distance." For response B, the student said, "The hypothesis could be tested by drawing a model and predicting what will happen." For student response C, it says, "I think the equipment needed is a measuring tape. I think you need a measuring tape to measure the distance of the toy truck. The hypothesis can be tested by rolling the marble down the ramp and then measuring the distance the toy truck traveled. So let's look at how TEA rated these student responses. For student response A, the score was a 1 point. Student response B, the score was a 0. And student response C, the score was a 2. As you begin scoring your SCR prompts for your students, make sure that you take specific look at how the rubric is worded and what we are looking for from the student responses. We have provided you with some examples of the short constructor responses, how students will respond, and also the justification as to why the students' responses will be correct or incorrect. This document can be found in your participant guide. It is for reference as you begin to score your SCR examples. As we move on to our fourth success criteria, you will be able to describe the opportunities to spiral in low-performing grade 5 science SCs into quarter 4 instruction. In quarter 4, the big concept is student investigations. On this slide, we have linked the IPC for quarter 4, week 1. We've also linked the YAG, the year at a glance, for you to take a look at what will be presented during quarter 4. If we look at the YAG for quarter 4, we see that we have 47 days of instruction. Within these 47 days of instruction, you will have the grade 5 STAR assessment. You will be teaching Unit 10, Designing Experimental Investigations, which is 40 days. And then you will have a Human Growth and Development unit that will be 5 days. Also, we have made available the IPC for quarter 4, week 1. Within the IPC, you will find the structured lessons, which also provide with 40 days of instruction. A different setup that we have done for these structured lessons is that we have combined days within the embedded slides. So we have days 1 through 5 within the first few slides. And we have given you opportunities for spiraling in previous SEs within quarter 4. So we have provided you a do now activity for students to complete for every day of those 40 days of instruction in quarter 4. As we return to our presentation, make sure that you look up these 2 items in your participant guide. The overview for quarter 4 is going to include demonstration of safe practices. Students will be able to ask defined questions, describe a plan for engineering, collecting data. They're going to analyze and interpret information. They're going to demonstrate repeated investigations. They're going to communicate these conclusions. They're going to construct simple graphs, tables, maps, charts, all of these throughout quarter 4 and through the student investigations. They're going to analyze, evaluate, and critique explanations. They're going to be using models. They're going to create grade appropriate concepts within history of science. They're also going to be interacting with safety equipment, lab safety equipment throughout all of the presentations in quarter 4. We have created a list of laboratory investigations that are available to you to use throughout quarter 4 to assist you with the instruction. The list of these lab investigations can be found on this slide. These links will take you directly to our HMH Science Fusion app. Make sure that you are logged in using your Clever account before clicking the links. Also, if you encounter any error messages as you click these links, copy and paste the link into a new browser tab to bypass some of the security settings. Additional digital resources on Clever that we have available for you are Discovery Education, our iReady, BrainPop and BrainPop Junior, as well as BrainPop Espanol. We have our Think Central app, and obviously our Curriculum Central IPCs. We have also linked the Lead Forward Instructional Strategies Guide. This guide will provide you with new and innovative ways of presenting the information to students, and that link is available in your participant guide. As we move into the additional information for this presentation, we'll begin talking about the sexual health units. Please ensure that you have completed the required training for human growth and development. Remember that these units are only for opt-in students. If your students have not opted in or opted out, we do suggest that you send out a reminder through one of your newsletters, or if you have a Class Dojo communication with parents, you can send them a QR code or a bit.ly link to remind them to reply whether they want to opt in or opt out their students for this instruction. Instruction will happen May 13th through the 17th. It is listed on your quarter 4 week 9 focus IPC. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Danielle Cole at tdcole@dallasisd.org with any questions you might have. Proclamation 2024 update. Teacher votes are being tabulated. Once the DTMAT committee has tabulated this votes, then they will create a report that's going to send recommendations to the Dallas ISD Board of Trustees, which then they will complete the adoption of the instructional materials. The new adopted materials will be implemented for the 2024-2025 school year. If you have not taken a look at the new science TEKS that are going to come into effect in the 2024-2025 school year, we have linked them on this slide and also in your participant guide for you to take a look at. If you have any questions or you would like some more information, please contact Jeremy Harden at jeharden@dallasisd.org. We have a lab safety online training module available to teachers. If you are new to teaching science, or if you have moved grade bands from, let's say, middle school to elementary school, then you should take the lab safety online training module. It is a refresher also for those teachers who have taken it, but just want to get caught up on the new information for lab safety. So that link is available in your participant guide as well as the slide. And we come to the part where we're talking about the success criteria and the learning objectives. As you may have noticed throughout the presentation, I have been referring back to the success criteria as we move through each of those sections. Make sure that whenever you are in your classroom, that you are using the LOs and SEs and students are aware where these are posted. Ensuring that students are facing the LOs and SEs during class is very important, and continuing to revisit these LOs and SEs multiple times throughout the lesson. And we come to the end of this presentation. Again, my name is Fabian Sanchez. I am the Elementary Science Curriculum Coordinator for the STEM Science and Wellness Department. My virtual hours are available from Mondays from 4 to 5 p.m. through the Zoom link on your screen. If this time does not fit your schedule, you can also email me at asanchezolivares@dallasisd.org, and we can schedule a different time that is more suitable for your schedule. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.